Okay, what if I told you that everything you think you know about discipline is wrong? Seriously, that it has absolutely nothing to do with willpower or motivation or just being a strong person. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea that discipline isn't something you have, it's something you design. This quote, it just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? We're all taught that if we can't stick to something, it's our fault. We're lazy, it's a character flaw. But what if that's not just wrong, but completely misguided? What if your struggles have nothing to do with you and everything to do with the fact that you've been playing by the wrong rulebook this whole time? So, that brings us to our first big idea, the willpower lie. We're about to completely dismantle this myth that discipline is some kind of moral muscle you just have to grind and force into submission. The truth, believe me, is so much more interesting. I want you to really let that sink in for a second. What if, instead of blaming yourself, you started looking at the system you're operating in? Just that simple shift in perspective is an absolute game changer. It stops being about trying harder and starts being about designing smarter. Okay, so why does willpower always seem to fail us? Well, to get that answer, we've got to pop the hood and take a look at how our brains are actually wired. And the surprising truth is, our brains evolved for a totally different world than the one we're living in now. And that's where all the trouble starts. Now this is where it gets really fascinating. Look at the mismatch here. Our ancient brain, the one that's been running the show for millions of years, its number one job is immediate survival. It wants to save energy and get quick, easy rewards. But our modern world, it demands the exact opposite. Productivity, thinking about the future, delaying gratification. You're literally fighting millions of years of programming every single day. No wonder it's hard. And here's the secret software that's running in the background all the time. Cognitive ease. It's the reason scrolling on your phone feels completely effortless, but opening a textbook feels like lifting a car. Your brain isn't being lazy. It's actually being super efficient. It's just always looking for that path of least resistance. It's a biological default setting. So, if our own brains are basically hardwired to sabotage our big goals, what are we supposed to do? This quote from James Clear is the perfect bridge. The problem isn't your motivation. That's not the thing to fix. The problem is the environment you're trying to be motivated in. And this, right here, leads us to the core solution. We're going to stop trying to force discipline and start designing it. The whole goal is to create an environment where doing the right thing isn't just possible, it's practically inevitable. Now, the fancy term for this is choice architecture, and it's an incredibly powerful idea. It just means that the way choices are presented to you dramatically influences the decisions you end up making. Put it this way, you are way more likely to do what is easy, obvious, and right in front of you. It's not about having more willpower, it's about making the good choice the default choice. Let's actually see this in action with a really simple but kind of brilliant real-world example. No motivational posters, no lectures about health, just one tiny design change in a cafeteria. Check this out. All they did was move the water so it was the first thing you saw, and they put the sodas just a little further back, making them slightly harder to get. They added a tiny bit of friction to the bad choice and removed it from the good one. And the result? People just started drinking more water, automatically. No one had to think about being disciplined. So, the big takeaway here is this. When the right choice becomes the path of least resistance, your brain doesn't fight it. It just goes with the flow. The goal is to make your good habits the most convenient, most lazy option in your environment. Okay, so we get the why. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually start designing your own environment and habits? Well, we're going to look at a really simple, practical framework that you can start using, like today. One of the best ways to start is with something called habit stocking. Instead of trying to create a brand new routine out of thin air, which takes a ton of energy, you just piggyback a new, tiny habit onto one that you already do without even thinking. Here's the simple 3-step formula. First, pick something you already do on autopilot, right? Like making your morning coffee. Second, you stack a tiny new habit right after it. So, for example, after I start my coffee maker, I will meditate for 1 minute. See how that works? The coffee becomes the trigger for meditating. It's a brilliant way to sneak a new habit into your routine with almost zero resistance. Now let's zoom out a bit. To make any habit actually stick, it needs to follow these 4 simple laws. You should think of this as the ultimate cheat sheet for designing your behavior. If you're ever struggling with a habit, I can practically guarantee it's because you're breaking one of these 4 rules. And this table just lays it out so clearly. On the left, studying is a total chore. The books are hidden away, the goal is massive and intimidating, and there's no reward. It's just a poorly designed habit. But on the right, we've applied the laws. The book is out, making it obvious. You start with a favorite drink to make it attractive. The goal is just 5 minutes, which makes it easy. And you get to mark your progress on a calendar, making it satisfying. It's the exact same task, but the design makes all the difference in the world.
Okay, so we've covered the system, we've got the tools. But to make this change really truly last, we have to go one level deeper. Because this isn't just about the things you do, it's about who you are becoming.
First, let's just bust the biggest myth of them all, that you have to love the grind. You don't. You really don't. The most disciplined people on the planet don't run on motivation. They've just designed systems that make doing the right thing the default path, whether they feel like it that day or not. And this quote? Man, this just sums it all up, doesn't it? Your big, ambitious goals don't determine your success. Your daily, automatic systems do. Your future isn't defined by your good intentions. It's defined by the tiny habits you actually do, day in and day out. And this brings us to what might be the most powerful idea of all. I want you to start thinking of every action you take as a vote for the type of person you want to be. Meditate for just 1 minute? That's a vote for being a calm person. Put your running shoes on even just for a second? That's a vote for being a runner. These tiny votes, they add up and they start to build hard evidence for your new identity until one day it's just who you are. So here's the bottom line. Stop trying to force discipline and start designing it. Stop blaming your character and start building better systems. The power is completely in your hands. Which brings me to my final question for you. What is the first small habit you will redesign starting today? Because the moment you decide, you've already cast the first vote for the person you're about to become.